You wake up in a room you've never seen before. There's no door, no window, just a soft vibration, like something alive beneath the surface. You see color. You feel the weight of your body. You hear the faint buzz of your thoughts. But everything feels too smooth, too perfect. You've lived here for years, or maybe just minutes. You're not sure. The only thing you know for certain is this: it feels real. But then a whisper creeps in. What if nothing you're sensing is actually there? What if the color blue, the feeling of time passing, the sound of your own voice, are not things you're perceiving, but things your brain is generating? This isn't science fiction. This is how modern neuroscience now believes the mind works. Every moment, your brain isn't just taking in the world. It's predicting it, filling in gaps, stitching together guesses, constructing a version of reality it hopes matches what's out there. We're not passive observers of truth. We're trapped in something more fragile, more fallible, and more mysterious. If that's true, what is real? Where does the world end and your mind begin? And if your brain can invent sight, sound, even a sense of self, how do you ever escape the illusion? You are not who you think you are. And the world may not be what it seems. To uncover the truth, we must first go backward, into a cave. A dark, ancient cave where shadows dance on the wall, and reality itself begins to crack. Long before neuroscience spoke of brain waves and prediction models, Plato described a prison, a cave. Inside it, people are chained from birth, unable to move, forced to stare at a blank wall. Behind them burns a fire, and between the fire and the prisoners, objects pass, casting shadows on the wall in front of them. That's all they see. The shadows, the echoes, a world of flickers and sounds, mistaken for truth. To the prisoners, the illusion is reality. But if one of them ever breaks free and sees the outside world, the fire, the objects, the sky, he would be blinded at first, then amazed, then desperate to return and awaken the others. But they would not listen, because they have never seen the light, only the shadows. Fast forward 2,400 years. Now, instead of chains and shadows, we talk of neurons and predictive models. But the cave still exists. It has simply moved inside your skull. Modern neuroscientists like Carl Friston and philosophers like Andy Clark propose that the brain doesn't simply receive reality, it predicts it. It creates models of the world and compares incoming sensory data to those expectations. If the data fits the model, the brain accepts it. If not, it adjusts. This is known as predictive processing, and it suggests that perception is a controlled hallucination, a constant negotiation between what's out there and what your mind expects to be out there. Philosopher David Chalmers called it the hard problem of consciousness. How can a lump of meat inside your head produce the experience of red, of pain, of time passing? Thomas Nagel asked, "What is it like to be a bat? To experience a world so alien, we can't even begin to imagine it." But here's the twist: even your own experience might be unknowable. Not because it's foreign, but because it's fabricated. The real world, if such a thing exists, must pass through a filter made of memories, beliefs, and predictions. You don't see the world as it is. You see it as your brain guesses it to be. And every guess, every hallucination, shapes your behavior, your beliefs, and your sense of self. But what happens when those guesses are wrong? What if the very foundation of your identity is built on faulty predictions? That's when the illusions become dangerous. If your brain constructs reality, then reality becomes a mirror, not of the world, but of you. Your past wounds shape what you expect to see. Your culture teaches you what is normal. Your fears decide what you ignore, all without your permission. This means every moment you experience is not raw truth. It's an edited film, cut by your expectations, scored by your emotions, and directed by your subconscious. And most people never realize they're inside the movie. Take time, for example. To the brain, it isn't fixed. It stretches during fear, contracts during joy, and slows when you're waiting in line with no phone. Time is not ticking outside of you. It's flowing within the brain's model of what should happen next. Or consider color. Physics says color doesn't exist, only wavelengths. It's your brain that turns those vibrations into blue skies and green leaves. A world without humans has no color, just energy. Even yourself. That steady eye behind your eyes isn't as solid as it feels. Neuroscience shows the self is a bundle of processes: memory recall, narrative construction, attention switching. You're more like a story being told than a thing that exists. And here's where the trap tightens. Because if your brain constructs reality, and it's basing that reality on flawed memories, old traumas, or inherited beliefs, then your world isn't just illusion. It's conditioned illusion. You believe you're unworthy? Your brain will filter for rejection. You expect betrayal? It'll see danger in every friend. You were raised to obey without question? Your reality will reward conformity and punish curiosity. This isn't just personal, it's collective. Societies build entire systems around shared hallucinations. Money, status, nations, even race. Neural myths made real through repetition and belief. And so we walk through a world shaped by ghosts, patterns we never questioned, predictions we never made on purpose. But if the brain can generate a trap, can it also create the key? There's a crack forming in the cave wall, and a few have dared to crawl toward it. The question is, will you? What if the cage was never locked? What if the same mind that constructs illusions could also dissolve them? If you learn to see differently. This is the rebellion. It begins not with answers, but with questions. Radical questions. The kind that don't comfort, they unravel. Socrates did this in ancient Athens, not by preaching truth, but by asking, "How do you know what you know?" He was hated for it, because waking up hurts. Modern thinkers have taken this deeper. Daniel Dennett calls consciousness a user illusion, a simplified interface your brain builds so you can function without getting overwhelmed. Like icons on a desktop, useful but not real. To break free, you must stop taking perception at face value. You must become suspicious of the story. Mindfulness practitioners have known this for centuries. The Buddha didn't speak of brains, but he did speak of illusion. He taught that thoughts are not facts, feelings are not forever, and the self is not solid. Sound familiar? In neuroscience, we now know that focused attention, awareness without judgment, can literally rewire your brain. You can weaken old prediction loops. You can build new ones. You can teach your brain to expect less fear, more freedom. This is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change itself. And you use it every time you change a habit, question a belief, or face discomfort instead of running. There are examples of those who escaped the cave. Aldous Huxley explored it through altered states of consciousness, seeing how fragile perception really is. Jean-Paul Sartre rejected fixed identity, insisting we are condemned to be free, responsible for the reality we choose to create. Even today, people who experience ego death in meditation or psychedelics often report the same thing: that what they thought was reality was only a sliver, that the mind can stretch far beyond its usual cage. But you don't need a monastery or a chemical to begin. Just awareness, just curiosity, just the courage to say, maybe everything I've ever known is only a guess. And in that moment, however quiet, it begins. The cave flickers. The shadows thin, the model starts to break, and something ancient begins to awaken. Reality isn't what happens to you, it's what happens through you. This is the final, unsettling, liberating truth. The world you experience is not out there. It is in here, and you are its author. The colors you see, the sounds you hear, even the self you think you are, all of it is your brain's best attempt at meaning. A moving mosaic stitched together from memory, culture, trauma, and hope. But once you realize this, everything changes. You are no longer just a person living inside a body. You are a lens, shaping, distorting, illuminating the infinite. You were never just a prisoner in Plato's cave. You were also the fire, the puppets, the shadows, and the wall. This is the paradox. The more you question reality, the more real you become. Not because you find final answers, but because you shed the need for them. You become fluid, awake, able to hold contradiction without fear, able to look at your thoughts and say, I'm not these. And in that stillness, something timeless stirs. A quiet presence beneath perception. Not an image, not a word, just awareness, vast and open, watching the dance of prediction and illusion, smiling at its own creation. Maybe that's what reality truly is. Not a thing to be found, but a truth to be remembered. So ask yourself now, as the cave dims and the sky cracks open, what will you choose to see? Now that you know you're the one painting the world? And if this stirred something in you, don't just scroll past it. Pause, reflect, challenge one belief you've never questioned. Look at one moment today like it's the first time. Because freedom doesn't begin with escape. It begins the moment you realize you've been dreaming. If you want to keep remembering, if you want to keep walking toward the light, join us here, not for answers, but for the courage to keep asking better questions.